in the house, in the house. So let's see what we got real quick. What we got? See what we working on today. How y'all doing? How y'all doing? So what's going on? Just a real simple question. We're gonna see what we got. I gotta go put this. Just starting off today, so we're gonna see what we're working with. Come on through if you can. Had a whole lot of folks last night. We're gonna thank you for who's ever coming through so far. Just entering the building. So we're gonna see who you is, what you about. Got a lot to talk about. A lot going on. So bring it, bring it, bring it. Don't be afraid. Okay. I see some people coming through. Let's see what we got. If you're gonna be entering the building, please feel free to hit up the poll question and smash up them likes. Thank you for coming through. Um, Hope you're having a good day. Wednesday, wherever you are. Maybe it's early Thursday. I don't know. You tell me where you coming from, so we can chop it up. But anyway, let me know. I am bringing it to you live, as always. We're only as good as how many people come through. So if people come through and communicate, we can definitely conversate. So we're gonna see what we got. So let's see what we're working with. All right. I don't know what not means, but we'll take it from there. Yeah. If you got such a strong opinion, please tell me why you feel that way. Let's get it going. Let's get it, get it. Okay. Got some people coming through, so come on through if you got something to say. Feel free. I don't know what that means. Do tell me what that means. Okay. Got a A couple of people just taking the poll. Feel free to come on in. Welcome you in. Come on in. Come on in. We'll be here for a minute. We welcome you to come on through. Tell me what your name is, where you coming from. Let me see what I got for us. Well, thank you so much. The same to you too. Thank you for coming through. Definitely needed. Always need the best. A lot going on in the world. So thank you, Bill Arthur, for the warm wishes. Appreciate you. Where you coming from tonight, if you don't mind me asking? And thank you for the. That is one of the best messages I've gotten all day. So thank you. Appreciate that. You know, I can never tell with the algorithms of YouTube when people are coming through or coming not. So there's a lot of heads coming through. Welcome people to come and converse. Just looking forward to conversation. So anyway, so far we're up to a good poll. So far, 67% saying yes. You ask me hypothetically, I'd say yes. I think that's a kind of a no-brainer to the situation, how things are going, because it's actually a tag team. So that's how I look at it. But anyway, let me know what you think. Come on in here. Let's get some conversation going. What's up? Thank you for coming on. Now I know I got somebody that's gonna keep me hold me for an hour. What's up, Jay Will? What's on your mind? Feel free to chime in. They got Joey Bosa from the 49ers. I like him as a player. I don't personally like him personally, but I like him as a player. Well, they had to get something after what happened with Von Miller because how many years you gonna keep losing to Kansas City? The only problem is now you get him, you just gotta kind of wonder, what's gonna happen. He did take a bad PR hit though for his mega cap and his thoughts though. It's the only problem. But we're gonna find out. The Bosa from the Chargers, that Bosa. Oh, he's good. He good. He ain't Joey, but he good. Okay, thanks for clarifying because I haven't been on to check out the news. Well, yeah, that's a nice pick. He's good. But if it was Joey, much as I don't like his politics, Joey, that would be almost you could say Super Bowl bound. That would be Super Bowl bound with that Bosa. You know how it is when you get the right last name but the wrong first name. You know how it goes. Like when someone has got Curry, but they stuck with Seth, and Seth he plays good, but let's keep it real. You already know there's a big difference. Big difference. Big difference. And that's not saying that Seth don't belong because he can play pro ball, but you know what I mean. You know what happens when you get that other dude and you don't get that other dude. So it happens all the time. I got a long line about that sort of thing. But anyway, all right now. So uh, football off season moves in March though. They are good, but they don't get me excited. Like for some people, they feel like they won the Super Bowl in March or April. I'm like, Demar, Demar, which Demar? Demar they already got. Who you talking about, Demar? If it's the same Demar, yeah, he good. I think the biggest problem that the Bills they need. Listen, yeah, they need a front guy though that can penetrate the line. That's what they missing though. To be honest with you, I almost wish we had lost to Baltimore in the second round because you need to get that defense front overhaul really. Oh yeah, they ever had Damar Hamlin. Remember, he's the one who concussed on the field. Yeah, he good. He good. He good. He good. Yeah, every some. Yeah, he's good. I like Damar, and he got a lot of heart and emotion. I just hope that he'll be healthy. That's all I could say with Damar. I like Damar. I like Damar. He's tough. You know, it's just that they got to do a better job in the secondary, and they got to do a better job on the front. They get beat too. They get punished too much on the front. He's just a runner guy now. The only reason why he got let go by Kansas City, he dropped that ball. You remember that one play? Now it was 24-0. Yep. You know what I always say? It's like I always treat it like the produce section. I say, yeah, you about 3 years past the pull date. That's what he is. Because now he just bail hopping. He dropped that pass in the Super Bowl. I don't know if that would have made any difference, but that was a third down. He catches that ball, he might still be running, but I don't like to see guys that are Hall of Famers or potentially what have you, and they just end up just basically be journeymen. But that's all he is right now at this stage. Sad but true. Sometimes you never get that out your system. So, you know, yeah. But I ain't mad at him though. Get that bag, and he goes from one great quarterback to another. Except the problem is that Baltimore's on the clock though. He on the clock, they on the clock. So I don't know. But him dropping that ball ain't why they lost that Super Bowl though. They just got beat up. What they're not happy about? Well, because SGA should be the MVP. Because unless OKC goes on a 5-10 game losing streak, they're gonna have the best record in the West, probably the best record in the league of them in Cleveland, and they're gonna win 60 games. So I'm thinking about doing a video about the Jokic fans because it's getting kind of alarming. Mm, Look, I think he bad, but he got to do more in the postseason. And I said this already. Him and Luca, not Luca, him and Giannis in particular. Whoever gets that second ring first is in the front row seat. So that's how I'm looking at them two. But you got to get rings. Now it's all about jewelry. You got plenty of accolades. Now it's about dominating, imposing your will. Now, not in my eyes, he shouldn't, because if that's the case, you had to go back and give Jordan about 4 or 5 in a row, and you have to give Shaq about 4 or 5 in a row. And you can't make it. And let me say this real quickly, even if there are Jokic fans here, he has not been that kind of player that imposed his will that should get all that in a row. Unless, of course, he's winning. Now, people want to come at me about Larry Bird getting three in a row. Guess what? Was Larry Bird camping out in the finals in the 80s? Yes, he was. 3-2 in the finals. Okay. So, yeah. Okay. Moses Malone was camping out in the 80s in the finals? Yes, he was. See, you had to be dominant and get it. Unless you want to have a Steve Nash run where you don't even get to the finals and you just get it. That's not cool. I do think Jokic is a great player, and I think he's great for his era. But let's not get it twisted. He's not even the best overseas player his size that I've seen. Because Arvidas Sabonis moved me far more. I'm just saying, Sabonis did everything Jokic did, except he did it 25, 30 years ago. Maybe actually almost 40. Just saying. He just didn't come over to the States. And I like Jokic a lot because Jokic's like a big old Herman Monster robot type. And he can, but I've seen this before. Now you got to win chips. He wins two, three rings, we having a whole different discussion. But at this stage, I can't go next level with him. I'm sure his. I don't know why his fans are. That team ain't winning. What y'all playing for? Stat pad. That's what a lot of these people are, though. And then LeBron would be saying, "I should have had about 3 or 4." And Steph Curry could second that 2 or 3. That's what I'm saying. And he never got out the second. Well, he got one Western Conference Final. He never got to a finals. So, I mean, what's your criteria? What is your criteria? At least in this instance, I can go SGA and Jokic. I can see that. Giannis should get consideration. Donovan Mitchell, excuse me, should get consideration too. Those four, and that's it. Just those four. That's it. Because it has to say something about your team winning and dominating. I wouldn't mind if they had the Eastern Conference, Western Conference MVPs, to be honest with you, which I think they should do. Because I don't know why they don't have two different conferences. If you're on, please feel free to hit the poll question and also hit the likes and also give comments. I welcome you to come through. Feeling pretty good. Feeling good with the live streams. Live is where it's at, especially if you get a good interest. That was last night. If you put a, I was talking to when she was winning. But you know what? To be honest with you, he never was MVP. His stats were great, but I can't say he was. He never was a better player when Shaq and him were together. So take that out the equation. You can take 96 through '04 out. Okay. And then the next year when Shaq got robbed, '05. So for 9 years of his career, Shaq was better to me. And that metrics says it. Just saying. So '06, and then you go on and you can make debates. But really, when you get into that kind of criteria, you go maybe '06 to what? Maybe 2009, maybe 20. He had a window, but it wasn't like he was, no. Mm-mm. But having said that, though, excuse me, you could make a case for him for a 2 or 3. Depends on the circumstances. It all depends. But they're all arbitrary and provide politics involved. So it's an interesting argument. So it's one of those arguments some people are going to want to get into. Some ain't going. All right, we have a good poll going. I don't know if people are actually honest with it, but we got obviously the answer is the correct answer so far. So, and I don't think you're trying to throw Kobe under the bus, so we gonna be all right. But then if that's the case, there are other guys who don't win either. So there's a lot of politics involved, though. We know. All right, feel free to give me some comments and some feedback. Look and come on through now. Does Steph Curry win with a big man like Prime Dwight? Yeah, well, because he never played with someone like that. So yeah, in fact, his life is even easier. Another thing why Steph Curry is going to get high ranking from me is because He's never played with a dominant low post player. Think about it. That's a fact. What Dwight Howard did he play with? What Anthony Davis did he play with? What uh, Draymond Green ain't in a discussion. Come on now. So yeah, I mean, if he played with somebody like that, then we have a, then I think he's got even more rings. Think about it. He's never had that. Even if you consider Draymond Green really good at his position, he's not dominant. Kevin Looney and them guys ain't gonna be cracking no Hall of Fame. Just saying. But Julia, well, look at what he won with. Look at what he had in the box. So no, that's a good question that you asked. That's my rallying cry for why he belongs where he belongs. Because aside from that run with Durant, he really ain't played with nobody that you're sitting there going, oh, I mean, just think about it. I mean, playing really good right now with Jimmy Butler. And quiet as this kept, them cats could go on a run and fool around and get in the top five or so. That's how scary they are. They could run the table because they're playing defense. They're moving the rock. They could fool around and run the table. So I'm watching how they're playing. No, because see, Horace was used as a decoy. He could have been better. He could have been better. And like Dr. J said, he applied his game. He could have been 17, 18, 19, 20 point man. He didn't play like that. You know, that game when they beat Phoenix and he threw that pass out to Paxson, he had 1 point in the whole game. He was not the kind of dude that necessarily utilized his skill set. Draymond gives you an all around because of assists, rebounds, steals, sometimes blocks, and a few shots. But what I consider him low, no, no. He instigates, he makes himself durable because of his hustle and his in different variations. But no, low post, no, low post is like when you say Tim Duncan, are you good like that? No. Even Elton Brand, an Elton Brand type. You give me 18, 19, you know, that's good. So, no. But they both served a purpose for both situations because they were used as decoys who did other things, which, so that's how I look at it. And it all depends on what your criteria is. But when you say good low post players, you got to be able to hold your own. They're not those kind of dudes. They had a purpose. Horace actually had an outside shot too, you know, but he just didn't really work on his game. Paul Gasol and Bynum, that's a no brainer. Cause why? Cause they took it to the championship. They went to the finals. Zebo was hard. He was a tough brother. Just didn't score no points. Wasn't an offensive force. Marc Gasol could shoot outside. He had a nice outside game, man. He was tough, and he did get that ring with Toronto. But they didn't really go nowhere. They were they. This is the thing. And this is why I used to get mad at Carmelo Anthony. I said, man, if you just cherry picked and went to a team like Memphis, you could fool around get in the finals and maybe win with those two. But those guys were not generating. Paul Gasol could generate offense. Bynum, when he played his position, was a good center. But remember something. If Paul Gasol doesn't come to the Lakers, they don't win. Remember how it was those two first round early exits? Remember how it was with what they had? Think about it. Got Paul Gasol, that was huge. Let me say this. More talented doesn't mean you're better. It's kind of like in music. And just because you got more talent doesn't mean you hit the songs. Because you can be more talented than somebody, but if you don't have the right material, then what? What are we going to do with that? And Mark and Zach were tough. I liked them, but they couldn't bring that next person. And they weren't the kind of dudes that could impose their will. Paul Gasol goes there, they win a chip. They win two chips. And you could say that with Kobe, but he was very big. Zach wasn't blowing it up in Portland. Mark Gasol went to Toronto and played with Kawhi Leonard, and he had that outside shot, and I'll give you that. But he was considered, yeah, there could be more. I give you the talent, but they didn't have what those guys had, though. Paul and Andrew were better offensive players. And you know it takes offense to win in that league, so that's the difference. Okay, so that's what's up. So anyway, please feel free to come on through and what you got, what you got. Yeah, but it still came down to that shot though. He still hit that outside shot though. He was knocking down those outside shots though. He could shoot. He could shoot. But his brother was more versatile though. He one of those kind of guys that was tough, physical, but they only as good as if they got something to work with. If he ain't got nothing to work with, then you know that's the reality. Gotta have something to work with. You can make that case. But then again, let's just keep it 100. They did play great defense. They played great defense. There was still defense being played. I don't know about all that. I don't think that. I don't know if that. I don't think that. The only thing you're gonna do is prove my point. He played his best ball with Miami, which he did. He did. He played those 4 years. I think you could take those 4 years and think you didn't. Because if I could give you 50% of winning the championship and the other 50% runner up, if I can give 50% of being MVP or runner up, I think that you know most people would take that. I think they'll take those odds. No, it's not. It wouldn't cancel out MJ because MJ did it far superior. More, it was more the way MJ did it was 2 years after he had won an MVP at a time when he scored his historical, had scored 37 points a game. So he had did something completely different in a whole different direction. That would not cancel that out. LeBron would have had to have had like a 35-point season and then that. No, Jordan's was more impressive. The only thing LeBron's got over Michael Jordan is longevity. That's it. What's happening? I was waiting for you to come on through, and I got your message. I got to check your what you said on that thread about the singer. So thank you. Glad to have you. So I be coming around this time. Jordan's situation was a lot deeper, and that's not no hate either. Cause I told you before, I don't have neither one of them in my top two or what have you. But Jordan played in a tougher era. I just call it as I see it. I don't. I ain't. I call it as I see it. Jordan's era was far tougher. Plus, you still had better offense too. And LeBron, with that year, that wasn't. What's your favorite? That's kind of hard. It's kind of hard. Me and Mrs. Jones might be the ultimate. Um, Bill Russell could be up there. I really don't. I was. You must have been reading my mind because I love "Creep" a lot. That was a cold song. They up there. They up there. Magic is up there. It's hard to say. Magic is up there though. Birds up there. It's hard to say. I have different criterias, so I don't. Part of it's winning, part of it's dominance, part of it is the eyeball test, the totality. So there's different ways, but dominance plays a big part in how you impact the game and so on and so forth. So I wouldn't have Wilt that high, but I'd have him. He gets his due from me though. There's no question about it. Because now we're more in a stat driven era than ever, and Wilt's stats are still staggering. So and Kareem was just like the guy that had the perfect shot. So I like Creep a lot. You must have been reading my mind too. I like Dilemma. I like Dilemma. It was a great duet too. As a fact, Kelly got the solo career before Beyonce did, and Nelly right then was hotter than he's ever been. He couldn't do no wrong back then for a while. He was happening for a while. Kelly was decent, but she didn't have no long term in her career. A Shaq and Penny video that I talked about him or no? Yeah, it hits better than Crazy in Love. The only thing about Crazy in Love is I like the sample. The horns were sick, and that's probably her best song though for me, most catchiest song. But this Dilemma hit me more though. I mean, they hit me better though. It all depends. Oh, if he stayed healthy, he would have been great. He had the size. He would have been like Magic 2.0. And he had spring in him. He was tough. He was tough. He was athletic, agile. He was tough. No, it's not about cheating. Did you really listen to the lyrics? He was talking, so it's a real, in typical Prince fashion. He was saying, if you understand what he was saying, it's like he wanted a relationship with his girlfriend the way she had it with her sister because he was involved with Susanna Melvoin and her sister Wendy, and he was talking about it, use high speed the voice up and saying, "If I was your girlfriend, would you allow me and confide in me and your insecurities and so on?" And he was talking about it from a character, a man trying to think how a woman would think, and then reflecting on how it's so one sided that he can't have that dynamic because he can never have that dynamic. So that's where it came off like that. TLC made it more like that, but from the male perspective, he was saying, you know, and he was doing it in a dual personality. Prince was putting the Gemini. That's what made it so work, though. He wanted to have that kind of intimacy with the girlfriend, with the woman, but she'd only confide it to her sister. So it was a, play on from a male perspective. Um, yeah, well, I went with those because 40 years ago they were big songs. Part Time Lover was huge. In fact, it's so funny because I forgot who was that white dude that was on American Idol with the glasses. He's like, ba 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 ba, and he did Part Time Lover, and I cracked up because it was such a sing along, like those dudes who sing 500 miles could go Part Time Lover. It just sounds so catchy and innocent, like a happy clappy song. It's a trip. But actually, Luther Vandross's ad libs is what made me dig it. But I used that because that was a big hit for Stevie Wonder. That was a big hit for him. Probably his last one of his last big hits. Remember he's on the cover Rolling Stone when all that came out. Secret Lover was huge because Atlantic Star turned into a soap opera, and then after that, If Your Heart Isn't in It, they had all kinds of these themes. Which what was going on was the Lewis brothers were involved with the girl that was the lead singer. That's what messed. That's what made it so crazy. So I didn't really go in there with him too many. I mean, if I want to be like that, I could use Donna Ross's Upside Down. You know what I'm saying? So there's quite a few. Call Me by Sky, but I went with a couple that were big hits because they were big back in '85. They were big. Part Time Lover was big pop. R&B was big, and Secret Lover just took off like, yeah, it was a trip how that song took off. So, you know, or I could have done Love's Train, but at that time it was, so it's some good ones. I like that M2 made one, but Secret Lover was like it took a life of its own. Because after that song hit, then they did was slow jams. So that's the story behind that. Dang, bang. Did you see? I saw parts of it. I'm not gonna really spend a lot of time with it, but I saw parts of it. It was tough. You know, I saw parts. Show a great deal of Roberta Flack. Quite a few of them do though. I try not to. Jay Will. You only rolling with Duke because of old boy. That's why. That's about. Is he gonna be the next connect? We're gonna see Cooper Flag Cooper. That's why you rolling with him. It's gonna be interesting where he goes though. You know he's one and done. No, he gonna go some. I don't know where he gonna go though. March Madness is college basketball tournament. 64 teams, and then sometimes the NIT 65 best team plays with the red, white, and blue ball. So March Madness is crazy. As a Michigan Wolverine fan, it's hard for me to get excited about college unless it gets going. I just don't really get into it no more. I really don't. I should, but I just don't. And I've told this story before. Yes, I kept up with college basketball, and I've known some of the guys that come out. But I tell the story all the time. College basketball to me ain't been the same in 30 years because when Kobe and Kevin Garnett all went to the pros and LeBron and all that and the others, we don't even get the best of it. So we March Madness is probably the best part of it. It ain't fun if your team loses. I wore Michigan Wolverine back in the 90s, and that was not fun. Lost to Carolina and Duke. Chris Webber trying to call timeout. Did win, but gone through a lot of frustration. It's only fun if you see a team that you didn't expect to win. That's when it's fun, but it was fun. I used to too. And I'll tell you a funny story. It was back in, was it '08 when Florida won it? When Joakim Noah and back when Al Horton, that's back when he was like 38. So anyway, I would have won that thing of Texas. I forgot how I messed up because I was battling the dude and he beat me because UCLA and Florida. I almost beat him in the tournament, so I was close. Yeah, Jermaine Jackson did. Oh, you said Glenn Medeiros. Girl ain't worth it. The one he did with Bobby Brown was my jam. Of course, he's never gonna give you, never gonna. He had two songs. He was discovered by Ray Parker Jr. in Hawaii. He looks like an insurance salesman now. I remember when he was cabbage patching. Girl ain't worth it. Girl, and Bobby Brown and him. That was my cut back in '90. She ain't worth it. Girl ain't worth it. Nothing but trouble. Yeah, he had a little bit of a run. He had a little bit of a run. He had a little bit of a run. I still remember when he's doing that running man. You said Glenn Medeiros. I tell you, I know you're gonna think I'm crazy because you always thinking, how you be remember? Because I got a lot of stories about a lot of artists. And let me tell you something. Before there was the internet, you sit around listening to artists. People had hits. You watching, and Glenn Medeiros was happening for probably about 2 years. He had a couple run, and that was it. And I forgot all about him after anything after '93. I forgot all about him. Kid you not until I saw him some video on him, and he's doing insurance or he's a teacher or something. I forgot. I remember the cut, but he was always one of them low budget acts to me. Ducky didn't put him in a noodle or something. Cause he'd have definitely been in the Ricky Martin pile. Just saying. But I did like She Ain't Worth It though. That one him by Brown. He had a couple cuts I liked. But basically lightweight act though. But it was fun though. Christian Leitner, yo. Christian Leitner got picked on the dream team and he was that good. I remember that game against Kentucky, 12 out of 12. Caught that ball, won that game at the end. He looked like he was gonna be like it was gonna be like if guys coming for Larry Bird, Rick Barry. That's how it looked when he was, you know. Tebow was good, but they had a better squad. But Leitner was the dude at Duke. Ronald Isley. Ron Isley. Mr. Biggs. And Tebow was bad at Florida. Don't get it twisted. But Leitner though, that's probably, if I'm honest, and I'm being honest and no bias, probably in my lifetime one of the 5 or 6 best college basketball players I've ever seen when I was aware of watching it. Because even in my early 20s, even in late teens, early 20s, watching a guy, he was that good. He was that good. That's back when you couldn't stand Duke, but that dude was bad. He was bad. That game against Kentucky to this day, he was 12 out of 12, and catches the ball, turn around, swish, go home. I mean, he was bananas. Because that's when Duke started to win chips. They weren't known for winning until that was a turning point. You know, if you catch them back in 91, 92, that was when they were starting to do it. It wasn't always the case. So that's why I have to give him his due. Whereas with Florida, they was good without Tebow. But Leighton was there on the cutting room floor when they needed to make that mark. So it's a good question though. No one else is gonna ever ask me that question. And they think it's gonna be hard. It's not hard for me. I like Tebow probably better personally, but asking me who did their college thing, I said I'm going. And believe me, I don't like to give nobody from Duke no love if I can help it. I really don't. But that boy was bad. That boy was bad. He was bad. Bad to the bone. Which one you got? What you got? What you got? You better come with something that's tough too, cause I ain't even playing. Since you in this mood for it. It was great. It was great. It started that whole him and Ronald Isaac. It was great. It was great. It was great. It was great. I'm not gonna even argue against it. It was great because they sung that thing, and you could also make a case for Contagious. So, and he wrote some classics. The Isley Brothers and R. Kelly and Shantae Moore. Look up the video. You're contagious. La da da la da da. You put the Isley Brothers, R. Kelly, and Shantae Moore. Shantae sounded good on that song. They used to do those hip hop operas. Yep. They had a lot of them songs. And you have to sing different part harmony and it was something else. The when I think about another one that you won't probably remember is Richard Dimplefield's. She's got papers on me. That song was hilarious with Betty right in the background. She's got papers on me. That song is hilarious. Friends by Whodini. Friends. Um, I was like Friends a lot by Whodini. Why can't we be friends by War? I like that song, but I just always think about it associated with the song. But I do like it though. That one never gets any attention. Weber just jealous. That's all. I like Girl. It was catchy. TLC song, I didn't really look at it like that, but I did like Girl. I did like that. It was catchy and cute. Um, KG ain't on there. You can make a case for Dirk. Karl Malone and Barkley, you can make a case for. It's all said and done. Giannis, you can make a case for. But Tim Duncan's on there. Webber just mad because Duncan beat him at everything he did. That's all. Now he has to look in the mirror and look at a guy who could pass as well as him, who could shoot as well as him, who could rebound, defend. So now I think today's game, Tim Duncan could be a small forward because he could utilize the floor. He would be a better version of what Carl Anthony Towns is. He'd be scary. He'd wear your behind out. I guess you could say "Man in the Mirror" and "We Are the World." Them type of anthems. He ain't heavy as my brother. There's a lot of those kind of songs. Sure, Steve Wonder got a few in there. It's a few. Duncan would be lethal in today's game. I don't care what position. All right. I hadn't even thought about that. Good pick. Hmm. Kiss and Say Goodbye by the Manhattans. I love a whole lot. Fire and Desire. Those two come to mind. That's a good topic, though. No. No. That's lightweight. That's lightweight. Fire and Desire. Kiss and Say Goodbye. What else would I say? Careless Whisper. Careless Whisper. I liked her vocals on it, but I like her side chick anthem of "Saving All My Love for You." The side chick, the side project songs. Why don't you talk about the side dish, the bottom, the ride or die song? Cheating in the next room with ZZ Hill. I get some real good. Mm-hmm. Who's making love to yo old lady? Johnny Taylor. I gotta think about some songs like that. I Michael Jackson breakup songs. I'm trying to think. If I was gonna say a song that Heartbreak Hotel, that one got more to it. She's Out of My Life was Heartbreak Hotel. Yeah, I'm trying to think what else song come to mind. Broke up 7 whole days. Well, I guess you could say. Um, Unbreak My Heart. Mm, Do You Really Want to Hurt Me by Culture Club. Do You Really Want to Hurt Me? Yeah, I don't, trying to think what. There's some songs that come to mind. That's all. Some songs come to mind. Just trying to put that in perspective. I was just that. Mm-hmm. See what I got for us, clip. Foolish. Well, she sampled. No, she sampled the Gap Band. She sampled Outstanding. That was the one. That was the one. So that's the one that she sampled. I know what you're talking about. Um, okay, let me do this real quick. Answer this one. Never Can Say Goodbye is great. Yep. I think the best one of those that I would say, I'm going to say, I'm gonna start the '86 Giants. benched the Bucks, and cut the Broncos. The reason the Giants is because of Lawrence Taylor changed the course of the game, and that impact was felt. When they won that state was bad. Plus, Phil Simms was unstoppable in that Super Bowl. He played a great game, so I thought they were gelling on both sides. The Bucks' defense was better than what they had on offense, so I gotta say the Giants. Then I gotta say that the Bucks would have been close, but Lawrence Taylor was by himself was like dominant. Broncos with Von Miller, but I don't look at them in the same trajectory because it's a 1 year wonder. So that's why. But all impactful, I will give you that. But when you talk about teams, the Giants, the Bucks, the Broncos. Yeah, good call on the Jackson Five. That's a sad song. Clifton Davis wrote it. Yeah, basically they just basically told him don't move, don't. So a buddy of mine came over and watched that Super Bowl with me, and it's a funny story. He had his Peyton Manning jersey on, and he's like, just hand the ball off, don't do nothing, because he did. He looked old. He looked old. No one talks about it. He was just like basically a pinata at that time. Just don't get hit. That's all. His best days had come and gone. Von Miller was on played great that Super Bowl. That Broncos line, that's what made the Patriots have to tighten up on the line because they was tacking. They tore Brady's behind up. They tore Grunk up. They was hitting him. They put a pound on him. That was that Wade Phillips defense. That's the Wade Phillips effect. Yeah, you should know right there because Brock Oswald was so whack that Cleveland told him, "We'll pay you not to come in quarterback." That's how whack Brock Oswald is. He's a bad tribute. He's so bad that Jameson and Baker Mayfield and Deshaun and all of them got to start. They didn't even let him come to Cleveland. They didn't even let him get his jersey to put on. That should tell you something right there. So he's not a good tribute question, but that's kind of where it is with him. But that Denver defense was no joke. But that's how Peyton's career ended. Mm-hmm. Okay. I'll be on for a few more minutes. Shit, Jackson 5. It was actually Michael Jackson solo back in 72. Shaka did it back in 82. For first, she didn't like doing it, but then she came to like it. I thought it was one of Michael's best solo performances, but he never wanted to do it live. And when he got grown, but I love the arrangement of it. Shaka's version was cool. I liked it, but it was different though. Ain't nobody, and I'm every woman. Those two. Papillon for me too. I love Papillon. Okay, that's cool. Oh, 85 Bears. That 46 defense was a beast, yo. And remember their record. And they only lost a damn arena on them. That was unheard of what they were doing. They were putting quarterbacks out. When they played the Cowboys, they knocked Danny White and Gary Holcomb out. That defense was ferocious. That was so dominant that it was uncanny. Now the Ravens defense would be in that argument though. Richard Dent, Wilbur Marshall, those guys. Come on, they were tough on everything. That Bears team was special. And a funny story, they bit their whole style off the 49ers. Because the 49ers beat them with their own version of the fridge a year before. And Bears came out the next year, duplicated. That was something else, though. I remember that Bears team like yesterday. That Ravens team was tough, too, but that Bears team. That's hard. I'd say Billy Davis and Marilyn McCoo, because they still perform together. I'll give you that. I'd say they'd be in the argument. They'd be in the running. But Billy Davis and Marilyn McCoo, no, I don't watch. Stephen A. Smith was on Gilbert's. You trying to get street cred now? I think they had Gilbert on. No, they were. And Renee ran it like a pimp, just like Ronald Ozzie ran it like a pimp. And they were musical inclined and etc. etc. But it reared its ugly head. I'm not on LeBron's side. LeBron was wrong. Marvin Gaye and Tammy Terrell, and it really ain't even close because the way they connected, they set a standard. The original with "If This World Were Mine" and all those classic duos. That was a duo. There have been other duos that I've liked. Love Rick James and Tina Marie. I think Babyface and Tony Braxton, but Marvin and Tammy can always get number one for me. Oh yeah, of course. Listen, but let's get something straight. I don't have no vendetta against LeBron, but he wrong for that to step to that man like that and bark in his face and clap. He wrong, wrong. He'd be lucky that Stephen A. didn't put a two piece on him. Because LeBron don't step up to nobody like that. Um, Mary J and Casey more because of what happened with the two than them actually musically. They brought out different things in each other, but it's not like Ike and Tina. So, George Jones, Tammy Wynette, it's not like that. So Kim and Biggie brought out, but again, it wasn't like they did a lot together. You got to kind of have like we've seen musically, if you really want to, it may not sound fashionable to say this, but R. Kelly and Aaliyah because they did work together and they hit together. So, you know, just saying. You know when you see chemistry together, you know what it's like. You know when acts hit, and you're like, wow, that synergy is real. So, I got 10 more minutes, and then I'm gonna go because I gotta do some get some stuff going. But 10 more minutes, let's keep it going. Not a lot on the poll, some views today, but that's okay though. No, no. I give you that. They kind of had that grease thing going. They that chemistry. I'll give you that. Give you that. All right, that's what we got. Okay. Well, if you just want to talk about duets, you could always say Beyonce and Jay Z. You could actually say now only R. Kelly and Leah come to mind as far as I'm concerned, because it has to be a duo that I go, okay, I could see something in the music and all that. Not the one offs. Not the one offs. Um, Puffy and Mary J. Blige. Mm-hmm. Um, Alexander O'Neal and Sherelle. Yes, there you go. Has to be something that's viable and that hits. No, no. His would have been with Diana Ross. Chemistry was uncanny. Mm, I don't know. It's catchy. But I need some real something that'll stick your feet into. I don't know. There's some artists I just can't really see them flourishing with a duet partner. I'll give you one that was kind of strange, but it definitely well, there's two that comes to this art. Prince and Sheila E is one. Prince and Sheena Easton, musical chemistry. So that's two for Prince. Yeah, if I go by my boo, they definitely rose. I think Michael and Sierra Garrett had chemistry too. So when you got the real ones, um, I'm trying to think. They had chemistry, but they didn't do nothing together. But she definitely helped his career, and Crimea River was about it. So they definitely had a chemistry, and no one cares about that. No one cares. I like Bruno Mars with Gaga. I think that was good. That's how I'll come up with that though. No. And the funny thing is, they did do that song "It's On," but it didn't really. And considering he's the king R&B of the '90s and she's the queen, it didn't really. They never really went nowhere with what they did. It was just a one-off. Didn't really go nowhere. Should have been more. Should have been more. That was a missed duet album. Because ironically, I want to say his song "12 Play" was inspired by Mary. Because he did it on his with him in Public Announcement tour, and I think it was inspired by, but it never went nowhere though. So I liked his musical chemistry as far as R. Kelly goes with Biggie. I thought him and Nas were good together. Obviously with the Ozzy. I like the stuff with Charlie Wilson. Some things I like with Michael Jackson. Some things he did. But him and Ozzy was probably the best though. So yeah, but yeah, that song was just okay though. Oh, we talking about her in full force with "All Cried Out." They did duets together because actually Full Force was doing the music. It was all right. Yeah, they did. Yeah, "All Cried Out." I didn't think much of it. Allure was on Mariah's Crave records, and I didn't think much of it. That was corny. Wrong person to ask. Sorry. I already told you, Babyface and Tony Braxton for me one of the best duos. I love their album together. I love Babyface with Elder Barge. I like that chemistry. Babyface was probably the cat that you could work with, and he's one of those cats that people had good chemistry with. Except I didn't like the stuff he did with Pharrell, and I didn't like it when they worked with Jimmy Jam Triggers. Yep. Okay, I got a couple minutes before I'm gonna call it a day, but I will come back tomorrow around the same time. So if you are around, it'll be a bit earlier. So no, she wouldn't. She wouldn't. She didn't do a lot of duets back then. If you think about it, that wasn't her forte. That wouldn't have necessarily worked. That was good. I like the song. So. Hit and miss with her duets though. Anyway, I will be back tomorrow. We will talk more, and I appreciate you coming out. And be a little bit earlier than I was today, so be on the lookout for me to come through. Gotta go get take care of something. Appreciate you stopping by. Though it's definitely been on the fly. Stay safe, stay blessed, stay woke, stay free, stay true, stay healthy. Appreciate you always. Thank you all for coming through. And John Will and Charlene, appreciate you.